moonlit arrival at the deserted Khan. Imagine you cresting the final dune just as the moon slips from behind a veil of rag-red clouds, its glow spilling across the desert like cool milk. Miles of shifting sand hush beneath your camel's padded feet, and every breath you draw tastes of distant cinnamon, blown from markets you will never see. Ahead, the caravanserai waits, a low citadel of pitted limestone crouched against the night, walls thick enough to swallow the wind, arches yawning like the mouths of sleepy lions. You dismount, boots sinking into powder-fine dust that remembers 1,000 hoofbeats before yours. Lanterns are forbidden this deep into hostile lands, for light is a language bandits read without fail, so you navigate by moonshadow alone. Stone steps rise, worn smooth by knees and burdens long vanished. With each cautious stride the air cools, scented faintly of cracked coriander and the metallic whisper of old coins. A doorway, half collapsed, greets you with a sigh. Beyond, the courtyard opens like a palm turned upward to hold the night sky. Silence here is not absence, but presence. The presence of ghosts who once haggled beneath awnings dyed with indigo, of guards who once traded gossip in dialects now extinct, of animals who once stomped and snorted until the dust climbed higher than prayer smoke. Tonight, only memories stir. You lead your camel toward a trough filled with broken moonlight. Chains lie coiled beside it, links delicate as jewelry, yet once strong enough to tether beasts worth more than kingdoms. Shocking fact 1. You have heard that cautious merchants sometimes looped similar chains around their own waists while they slept, padlocking themselves to their saddles so that a thief daring enough to tug the harness would rattle the dreamer awake, or snap a spine in panic. Your eyes adjust. Sculptures emerge from gloom. They are not statues, but heaps of cargo draped in rotted burlap, forgotten bales of cotton, jars once fat with myrrh, crates that once rang with the jangle of green glass beads. Kneeling, you brush away grit to reveal a charred circle etched in the flagstones. Last night's fire, perhaps last century's. Within the ash glint tiny spheres of melted quartz. Glass beads sacrificed as payment in an illicit barter no chronicler recorded. Shocking fact 2. Some swear that if you place such a bead on your tongue, it leaches away thirst for a full day. Others claim it steals your dreams instead, leaving you dry in spirit though your mouth be wet. The courtyard is encircled by arcades. Each arch produces an echo so precise it seems 5 voices mirror your footfall, a deliberate design to amplify the alarm should raiders breach the gate. You test it. 1 step, 5 whispers rebound, another 5 more. Together they form a slow-beating drum that marks time in quintuplets. Shocking fact 3. Scribes discovered that prisoners locked here during distant sieges scratched tally marks in groups of 5, unconsciously translating the building's echo into the arithmetic of despair. You cross toward the central fountain. Dry, but the basin remains mirror-smooth. Lining its rim are delicate tracks, scorpions, night sentinels seeking the last day's warmth that still bleeds from the stone. In moonlight, their shells glitter like beads of obsidian, and for an instant you imagine them candles. Ghost candles, traders once called them. Flickering yet flameless, guides for the superstitious. You give them wide berth, for you know their pilgrimage is both ancient ritual and deadly patrol. Finally, you ease down beside a column whose capital still bears the faint relief of twin eagles, wings outspread as if to shield all who shelter here. You draw your cloak, rough wool catching the chill, and allow your back to rest against a stone that radiates the memory of sun. Sleep in this place is a guest who must be coaxed with patience. You close your eyes, let heartbeat slow, and listen as the courtyard's fivefold echo settles into a lullaby none but travelers know. Chapter 2. Echoes in the Stone Courtyard. Imagine you waking to the low moan of distant wind funneling through shattered parapets. It carries with it a whisper of tamarisk, and the faint, bruised sweetness of pomegranates over-ripening on some far oasis tree. You rise, joints murmuring like old hinges, and notice how the moon has climbed higher, bleaching the courtyard almost silver. Shadows have shifted. Objects once benign now lurk like crouched stories poised to strike with plot twists. You pace the perimeter, fingertips skimming cool wall. Stone blocks the size of coffins wear scars, slashes of steel, perhaps sword testing of bored sentries. Pocks where arrows buried their heads, grooves where siege ropes once chafed. Here and there the limestone is tattooed with words. Latin curses, crude French poems, the scratched emblem of a Maltese cross. Shocking fact 1. These etchings may predate the compass rose in European navigation, making the courtyard one of humanity's first transit message boards, a sandstone social media feed without scroll bars. At the western arcade you find the well. Its coping is a perfect circle, edge polished by half a millennium of thirsty palms. You drop a pebble. The plunk echoes long, then shorter, then dies, a second well of silence. Legend claims the shaft was once poisoned by a rival emirate, the water tinctured with some bitter draught that discolored tongues but left metal bright so no bucket's bottom betrayed the crime. Camel drivers, suspicious, flavored buckets with date syrup to mask any change. You imagine them kneeling here, sipping cautiously, relief and dread sparring in their throats. Nearby, a wooden bucket, split now, lies abandoned. Rusted hoops cling to shattered staves like desperate hands. You lift a fragment. It smells of cedar still, hinting at far-off mountains. The chain attached to the pulley is fused stiff with verdigris. In moonshadow, it resembles a spine pulled free. You let it fall. Its clang ricochets 5 times, faithful as ever. An alcove opens beyond the well, half concealed by tumbling rubble. Kneeling, you tilt your head within and release a slow breath. The space drinks it, returning a single, richer note, a resonance chamber cunningly engineered to multiply whispers. Caravan masters once stood here, ear pressed to a small slit, eavesdropping on price haggles across the courtyard. Shocking fact 2. They called it the Ear of the Khan, an architectural treachery so effective that rival traders smuggled silk maps stitched into cloak linings to mute their negotiations. Further along, torch niches gape like toothless sockets. Soot ghosts cling to the corners, whispering of nights when flames danced here, casting vaulting silhouettes of camels kneeling, of blades unsheathed, of lovers parted by duty to distant crusades. You run a thumb through the soot. Black flecks cling, smelling of resin and smoke and unrecorded songs. Where the wall meets the floor, you spot a sinusoidal pattern. Waves carved shallow and repeating. They align exactly with the stride of a marching column. Some say Crusader captains used it as a metronome to drill foot soldiers under starlight. 5 echoes marking cadence until discipline entered bone. You stop in the courtyard's center, tilt your head, and breathe deeply. Air flows down the arches, across your skin, through your cloak. Temperature shifts like pages turning, cool to warm to cooler again. In that moment, you sense the building itself inhale and exhale, a sleeping giant whose ribcage is stone and heartbeat is echo. You close your eyes. Each breath you take pairs with the courtyard's acoustic pulse, lungs sinking with limestone until anxiety unknots, replaced by the slow certainty that nothing here will hurry you. A scorpion clicks across the flagstones, tail curved like a question mark. You watch it reach the fountain, pause, then scuttle under a fallen saddlebag that surely once smelled of cedar oil and Turkish coffee. Neither predator nor prey disturbs its pilgrimage. In this sanctuary, even danger moves to a measured rhythm, as though the fivefold echo commands all who enter to hush, to soften, to slow. Chapter 3. Hidden Chapel Above the Gate. Imagine you climbing the narrow stairway built into the gate tower, each step steep as a confession. The treads are carved from the same honey-colored limestone as the walls, but here they shine slick where countless souls scraped grit into polish. Dust motes swirl in your wake, catching moonbeams that slant through arrow slits like lances of pale fire. Halfway up, the smell changes. The desert's dry mineral scent yields to something older: melted tallow, ancient parchment, the faint iron tang of hand-forged nails. You reach a small landing beneath a pointed arch. Ahead, a cedar door rests slightly ajar, hinges long surrendered. You push. Wood sighs. The chapel reveals itself, compact, domed, intimate as a cupped hand. Moonlight penetrates through a perforated stone lattice, patterning the floor with stars inside stars. A single bench stands beneath the lattice, its plank bearing initials chiseled in pilgrim frenzy. Some letters are upright Latin, others curled Arabic, still others angular Greek. Proof that prayer speaks many tongues, though silence sounds the same. High on the eastern wall glimmers a niche where once a lamp might have burned all night. Beneath it, carved crosses overlap like palimpsests. The straight-armed cross of Templar knights, the elongated form favored by Armenians, the eight-pointed star of Cilician traders. Many have been crudely chipped away, inverted, or overwritten by later hands. Shocking fact. 1. Scholars discovered traces of red pigment in those gouges, crushed garnet, suggesting a ritual defacement intended not merely to erase but to consecrate anew by blood hue. At the chapel's center, an altar stone lies toppled, exposing a hollow in its underside. Within rests a silver reliquary no larger than a sparrow's egg, tarnished to dove gray. You cradle it in your palm. It hums with dormant warmth. Legend insists it holds the finger bone of an obscure saint said to guide lost caravans through sandstorms. You imagine weary travelers kneeling here, lips pressed to cold metal, pleading for safe passage under banners both crescent and cross. Under the dome, bats roost in black constellations, furred bodies clinging to mortar seams. They shift, rustling like turning pages, and a fine rain of guano drifts through moonbeams. Shocking fact, 2. When the Khan thrived, scribes quartered here to copy contracts found themselves coughing blood after weeks beneath those ceilings, a malady dubbed caravanserai consumption, its spores fed by bat droppings and ink vapors alike. You step carefully, feet gliding over dusty floor tiles still glossy where pilgrims once knelt. Near the rear wall, a narrow timber ladder ascends into a beam pocket. You climb. It groans but holds. In the cavity above, cool air pools. Reach in, and your fingers touch parchment curled tight as sleeping snails. You unroll one carefully. A vellum strip painted with cobalt mountains and a single red line threading between them. Perhaps a smuggler's route, hidden within chapel eaves all these centuries. Shocking fact 3. Ink analysis revealed crushed lapis and powdered ruby. Luxuries equal in price to the spice cargo below, so the map itself was possibly worth more than its payload. Replacing the scroll, you descend. Back on flagstones, you kneel by habit rather than need. The dome shapes your whisper into a polished sphere of sound that hovers before drifting upward, joining echoes of countless hopes anchored here. You rest, palms on knees, allow spine to lengthen, shoulders soften. Breath slows until heartbeats separate like beads on a broken necklace, no longer tugging at one another, each free to glow, fade, glow again. When you finally rise, stiffness has seeped from joints as water from a cracked jug. You step toward the stair, pausing once to glance at the reliquary. In moonlight it gleams faintly, as though a pulse beats within silver walls. You leave it undisturbed. Some blessings must remain half-imagined to keep their potency. The stair returns you to the gate's shadow. Below, the courtyard sleeps unchanged, yet feels transformed. Stones brighter, scorpions slower, sigh of wind deeper. Perhaps it is you who changed. Lungs filled with chapel stillness, ears attuned to echo mathematics, mind weighed gentle by secrets of silver bones and bat-winged ceilings. You descend the final steps. Night air meets you cool, clean, laced with the far-off spice of cardamom rising from your own cloak, where merchants once stored their measure, scent now freed by your warmth. Sand crunches underfoot, rhythmic, soft. You draw your hood, settle against the gate tower, and allow eyelids to lower like heavy drapes across a lantern's glow. Sleep returns, richer now, seasoned with the dream dust of chapel relics and the measured heartbeat of ancient stone. Chapter 4. The Spice-scented Bazaar That Sleeps. Imagine you drifting back into the courtyard and sensing, almost as if your skin could smell, a faint ribbon of warmth coiling beneath the night's chill. Follow it, past pillars silvered by moonlight, toward a triple-arched doorway half-hidden behind a toppled cart. Push aside the collapsed lattice gate. Its cedar ribs protest softly, and step into the heart of the long-abandoned bazaar. Inside, air still tastes of memories, resinous frankincense, whisper-sharp saffron, pepper so potent it pricks the sinuses even as dust. Lanterns once dangled here in steady rows, but now only their iron hooks remain, each a question mark rusting in midair. The roof has gaped in places. Moonbeams plunge through the holes, spotlighting islands of color. Spilled turmeric, threads of red cochineal, green shards of malachite that once tinted textiles now rotted to lace. You move slowly, mindful of the hush. Piled against a wall, twin iron chests squat like sleeping mastiffs, lids banded by two thick locks corroded shut. You run fingers over flaking steel and feel the faint relief of a merchant's seal. A stylized pepper vine winding around a pair of scales. Shocking fact 1. A single sack of Indian black pepper once weighed here would have equaled its mass in minted silver, so the chests were forged double-walled. Iron outside, copper within, to discourage thieves with axes and magnets alike. Beside the chests sits a small brazier overturned, its bowl crusted in brown residue. You right it gently, lift an earthen cup still half full of dried pellets, compact spheres fragrant with fennel and something darker, medicinal. A folded parchment label clings to the rim. ink barely legible. Saye hut, 1 sip, 4 hours calm. Shocking fact, 2. Guards who patrolled the bazaar at night sipped this travel tea, a mild tonic laced with opium gum. Never enough to fog alertness, just enough to untie the knots of fear that gather in a watchman's shoulders. Farther down the arcade, untended bolts of silk have slumped like sleeping dragons, colors faded to ghosts. You lift a fold and feel the fabric sigh against your palm. An irregular bulge suggests something hidden in the lining. Careful unpicking reveals a parchment strip no wider than 2 fingers, covered in faint ochre lines. Unroll it. A secret border map. Mountains stylized in saw-tooth strokes. Rivers rendered as quicksilver ribbons, a dotted route passing fortresses too new for any official chart. Shocking fact 3. Such maps were contraband. Smugglers stitched them into silks, trusting cloth's whisper to muffle the rustle of illicit paper. The map might have guided spies or pilgrims, or both, depending on who paid the price of silence. A breath of wind sweeps the hall, stirs hanging cobwebs into trembling veils. You walk beneath them, footfalls deadened by layers of old straw. Occasionally, a faint clink echoes, perhaps a bronze weight settling, perhaps a seed pearl rolling free of split thread. You pause beneath an open skylight and tilt your face upward. Above, the moon has dipped toward west, its light now the color of frost on ash bark. That pallid beam spills over your eyes, cools your lids, invites them to lower. You obey, letting other senses rouse. Smell returns first. Cardamom, lingering sweet as a whispered lullaby. Clove dry and cinnamon warm. Next sound. A drip somewhere distant, rhythmic as a slow heartbeat. The granary's spring, perhaps, hidden underground. Touch. The faint grain of silk threads sliding across fingertips like water across sand. Taste. A memory of pepper heat ghosting the back of your throat, though you have eaten nothing. Sight drifts last, replaced by a mottled darkness patterned with fragrant thoughts. You find a low bench, edges rounded where countless traders once perched to haggle through the night. Lower yourself, lean against crumbling adobe, and exhale. In the vast hush of the sleeping bazaar, worry loosens like a knot teased by gentle fingers. Spices here have always traveled great distances. Now their scents complete a final journey, from dusty floorboards to the quiet chambers of your mind where dreams begin. Imagine you breathing one more pepper-tinged breath and letting it ferry you deeper into the calm that clings to every beam and bale in this abandoned market of wonders. Chapter 5. Secret Tunnels Beneath the Granary. Imagine you stirring from the spice stream, guided by that steady drip you heard moments, or was it lifetimes, ago. Rise, stretch limbs light with rest, and follow the sound toward the granary tower hulking at the bazaar's far end. Its doorway yawns like a tooth-pulled mouth, spills a staircase spiraling down into darkness scented faintly of barley husk and something mineral. You descend. Each step creaks but holds. At the stair's foot spreads a vaulted chamber once stacked to the ceiling with wheat, millet, chickpeas. They are gone, leaving only husks that crunch soft under boots like distant surf. Moonlight barely reaches here, but you sweep a lantern base across the floor. Stray embers of starlight glance off a metal ring recessed into stone. Pull. A square hatch lifts, exhaling cold air tinged with damp earth. A ladder of iron rungs drops into blackness. You grip them, climb down, and land crouched in a passage barely high enough to kneel. roof so low your back bows. The tunnel breathes a chill whisper along sandstone walls slick with condensation. Shocking fact. 1. Records speak of slave traders who used these cramped corridors to spirit captives away when tax guards searched the courtyard. Each captive bent double for hours, emerging blink-blind into desert night far beyond the Khan. You crab walk forward, palms sliding over gravelly floor. After 50 paces, the passage widens into a small cavern lit only by a faint blue glow leaking from water that pools along one edge. A spring emerges here, bubbling through lime-encrusted rock into a shallow basin carved by hand. On its rim stands an altar stone black with centuries of smoke. Trace the surface and feel a worn relief. Crescent moon cradling a 7-pointed star. Shocking fact, 2. Scholars link this carving to a pre-Islamic, pre-Christian water cult. Caravan guides once touched holy water to camel lips, believing it ensured steps sure as starlight across shifting dunes. Kneel. Cup your hands. The spring water is cold enough to numb your knuckles, yet soft as velvet on the tongue. You drink, and with each swallow feel tension unlace from spine to fingertips. Dim blue light ripples across the chamber, reflecting from flecks of mica in the stone to paint moving constellations on the arched ceiling. Across the basin an alcove opens. Within, brick courses form a concave funnel. Whisper a word, and the bricks return it amplified, as if two whisperers speak in chorus. This is the ear room. Shocking fact 3. Merchants hiding here could eavesdrop on deals topside. A single coin clinking above rang through the wall as thunder, price secrets laid bare to any patient listener. You sit against cool stone, knees drawn close, and let water's murmur thread through your hearing. Above, the world lies hushed. Here, time itself seems drowsy, ticking only when droplets strike the pool. Darkness is soft, not absolute. Gleams shift across water, echoing the unseen stars beyond ceiling and sand. Breathing slows. Spine uncurls despite low roof, for mind drifts rather than body. Images ripple on the pool's mirror, a line of camels shrouded in moon dust. A chained prisoner briefly touching freedom when shackles loosen. A priest of forgotten gods casting frankincense into sacred spring. With eyes half closed, you watch these scenes fade, aware they are not hauntings but stories breathing through stone. They neither jolt nor frighten. They unfold like scrolls of silk drifting free on a still current, then roll themselves shut. You blink and they are gone, leaving only peace. When you finally rise, limbs warm and loose despite chill, you retrace the corridor, ascend the iron rungs, and nudge the hatch closed. The granary smells sweeter now, as though barley returned to thank you. You head for the tower's side door where a breeze slips in, carrying first hint of dawn. The sky not yet light, but wind has changed key from nocturne to prelude. Imagine you, walking into that breeze, spring water still cool in your veins, and knowing tunnels underfoot will cradle their quiet long after the sun returns. Chapter 6. Dawn, Departure Through the Lion Gate. Imagine you stepping back into the main courtyard as violet washes the horizon. Stars wink out one by one like candles politely extinguished. Camels stir, scorpions retreat. Walls shift from pewter to pale gold, where first light kisses stone. You shoulder your pack heavier only with calm, and turn toward the eastern portal. The Lion Gate. 2 sculpted lions flank the arch. Muscles stylized, eyes wide, claws sunk into imaginary prey. Between their paws, a lintel of cedar beams spans the width above doorway. You notice ropes drooping from pulleys, frayed yet intact. Shocking fact 1. Those ropes once held clusters of iron nails concealed in clay. In siege they would be cut, sending a sudden shower of spikes upon intruders. The mechanism rests quiet now, clay melted by time, nails long harvested by scavengers. Yet you nod to the ingenuity of fear. Approach the threshold. Low morning sun slides under arch, illuminating flagstones damp with night's final dew. There, half-sunken mortar, glints a tiny disk. You stoop. It is a bronze seal pressed into soft mud centuries ago, a Latin motto encircling a broken sword. Shocking fact 2. Chroniclers record a Crusader envoy murdered here in 1191, his official seal lost during scuffle. Perhaps this is that very mark, sleeping in plain sight, waiting for fingers gentle enough to lift it. You leave it where it lies. Some histories prefer rest. Straighten and see, chiseled across the step, faint letters. Qui sine elemosina transit, onus sum duplicet. Let him who departs without alms feel his load grow twice as heavy. Shocking fact 3. Records tally that 9 of every 10 caravaneers tossed at least a copper here before departure. Many claimed loads seemed lighter for miles, gratitude perhaps, or collective suggestion woven into muscle. You reach for your pouch, find a small bead of green glass, a relic from the courtyard ashes. Place it in a niche beside the inscription. It clinks softly, a modest donation to memory. Then step across the threshold. Outside, desert unfurls toward sunrise. Dunes blushing peach, sky gradient from indigo through rose to pale lemon. Sand crunches under your sandals, rhythm matching moderated breath. Behind, the lion gate shrinks to a silhouette crowned by fading stars. Ahead, first light builds a road of silver across the flats, a promise pulling at the soles of your feet. Wind rises, gentle, stirring cloak hem. It smells of salt, distant, and sweet sage nearer, and something new. Possibility. Yet, though the day begins, you carry night's hush within like water in a lidded jar. Steady, cool, enough to sip whenever heat or haste demands. Every echo counted in the courtyard now drums slow in your chest. Every spice in the bazaar seasons your lungs. Every droplet from the hidden spring glides through your veins. Imagine you, pausing one last moment, turning to memorize the silhouette of wall and lion and crumbling tower, a scribble against brightening sky, and feeling no need to rush. Sunrise travels at its own patient pace. So can you. When you finally set foot forward, burdens feel balanced, pack neither lighter nor heavier, simply correct. The desert accepts each step with quiet applause of sand sliding under sand. You move east, cloak snapping gently. Behind, the forgotten rest stop folds back into morning shadow, secret once more. Ahead unfurls 2 hours or 2 lifetimes of road. Either is fine. You carry what matters. Calm as steady as the courtyard echo, breath as deep as the hidden spring. Dreams scented with pepper, myrrh, and the soft dust of old prayers. And so, with dawn painting the world anew, imagine you continuing onward, unhurried, unburdened, deeply at peace, until the next refuge beckons, and night again opens its quiet hand.